There is a light in you that you have learned not to look at. You know the one. It flickers when you pass a certain shop window, a certain page in a book, a certain memory you pretend is finished with you, and every time it flickers, you do what you have always done. You turn your eyes away and you tell yourself, later. I am very old. I have watched 1,000 people say later. Sit with me a while, and I will tell you about the one who taught me what that word truly costs. Because the first person I ever watched ignore their spark was me. Long before this beard was white, I was an apprentice in the tower of Archmage Iskar. He could pull rivers out of stone. He could speak to storms in their own tongue. And I could do one thing that he could not. When I held a dying ember, it would steady. A small gift, an embarrassing gift, I thought. Around me, the other apprentices were splitting boulders and calling down lightning, and I could comfort coals. So I did what you may be doing at this very moment. I decided my spark was too small to matter, and I set about learning everyone else's magic instead. For years, I studied storms I could barely summon. I strained at rivers that would not move for me. I built a whole life out of borrowed spells. And I got adequate. Respectably, forgettably adequate. And all the while, in the pocket of my robe, I carried a little ember in a glass jar. I told myself it was a keepsake. The truth is that it was the only magic that had ever felt like mine, and I could not quite bring myself to let it go out. I only refused to look at it. You carry a jar like that. Most people do. It rattles quietly against everything else you have decided to be. Then came the winter. The valley froze. Not an ordinary winter, a cursed one, the kind that creeps under doors and into lungs. The great hearth of the village, the fire that had burned for 200 years and warmed every home through shared channels in the stone, guttered down to almost nothing. Archmage Iskar summoned storms to push the cold back. The storms froze mid-sky. The strongest apprentices hurled fire. It flared and died because forced flame has no roots. I stood at the back, as I always did, with borrowed spells in my hands, and I watched them fail with better magic than mine. And in my pocket, the jar grew warm. I want to be honest with you about what happened next, because this is the part everyone gets wrong in the retelling. I did not stride forward in glorious certainty. I stood there arguing with myself while people shivered. It is too small. It will not be enough. They will laugh. Someone stronger should do this. Every excuse you have ever made about your own spark, I made that night with the cold biting through my boots. What broke me open was not courage. It was a child near the hearth, wrapping her hands around a cooling stone, trying to hoard the last of its warmth, and I realized that my embarrassment was costing other people heat. Hear that again, traveler. The spark you ignore is not only yours. Somewhere, someone is cold, precisely where you are keeping your light in a jar. So I knelt at the great hearth, and I opened it, and I did the one small thing I had always been able to do. I held the dying ember, and I asked it to steady. It did not blaze. That is not how true sparks work. It steadied. Then it deepened. Then the hearth remembered through my hands what 200 years of burning had taught it, because my gift, I finally understood, had never been small. It was quiet. It did not command fire. It reminded fire why it burns, and a fire that remembers its purpose cannot be cursed out of existence. The channels in the stone warmed street by street. The child unwrapped her hands. Archmage Iskar, who could pull rivers out of stone, looked at me the way you look at a door you have walked past for years and never once opened. He told me something that night that I now give to you. We do not get to choose the size of our spark. We only choose whether it stays in the jar. I became, in time, the wizard you see now, not by mastering storms, but by tending what was mine. Every great working of my long life has been that same small gift, grown vast through use, steadying what flickers in hearts, in people, perhaps tonight in you. So here is your lesson, and it is a simple one, which is why it is so easy to run from. The spark you ignore does not go out. It waits, it rattles in its jar every time you pass that window, that page, that memory, and the cost of later is not paid by you alone. It is paid by every person your light was meant to reach. You already know what your ember is. You knew it before I finished the sentence. This week, take it out of the jar, not to blaze. Sparks are not asked to blaze, only to steady. One small act of the thing that is yours. Write the page, mend the friendship, open the ledger, pick up the tool, ask it to steady, and watch what it remembers. And when it does, come back and sit with me again. There are more lessons waiting in this fire. Every spark I tend gently, even the small ones, especially the small ones. If something in you stirred tonight, do not let it go cold. Follow me and we will keep it burning together. Subscribe and come back to the fire.